Hello, creepies and crawlies, and welcome to another lovely edition of Ice Cream Queens. I forgot for a moment where the hell I am. Hi, can we bring in my glorious co-hosts? I'm
Hi,
like, hi.
and welcome to Aldi. Wait,
I don't. All of a sudden, I'm like, where the hell am I? What are we doing? What is tonight? Is tonight Sunday? Are we doing Ice Cream Queens? Am I
it's
supposed to be in a different?
Mother's Day.
It is. Happy Mother's Day. How many of y'all have had a wonderful Mother's Day or a decent Mother's Day, or we're just going to call it shit and go from there? How do we classify?
It's
I'm not
been
paying
pretty
attention.
good. You about made me spit up my drink.
My bad. Did not mean to make anybody spit up a drink at all.
It's been
Magda's
all
still
right.
just chugging.
Magda's over there like it exists. Mother's Day is here.
Sorry.
Sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes it's just here. Although I did get to spend time with my littles and my not so littles, so that's always fun for me. And so yeah, anytime I think you can spend time with the fam, I think is always a good thing. And it wasn't my con fam, which is who I'm usually with, but just my straight up fam. Sorry, I was fixing my toenail. My toenail's chipped, so I was trying to. In case you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, is
Stick your foot up here. Maybe we'll get some better ratings.
there you go. That's good.
All right.
All right, no, we're not going for that game, are we? We're going for boobs. That's what our ratings are for. Oh,
Ah,
speaking of,
perfect timing. Warning, this
perfect.
show may contain strong language or disturbing topics, which may be unsuitable for children, and unusual humor, which may be unsuitable for adults.
Also,
like
we're
we
all
should.
adjusting our boobs here for some
We are
reason.
like,
I noticed that. I'm like, we should just add a line that says, should inappropriate humor for adults, inappropriate humor for children, plus boobs and toes.
boobs.
We don't know.
By the toes. Why toes?
Thank you.
Because
Elon.
I just flashed mine up trying to get my toenails painted. That's why. It's like, and I don't even mess with that half the time, because I'm just like shoes, boots. Who needs toenails? I'm like, that's a person.
Who needs toenails? Okay, we do have a topic, and the topic is pretty much us.
Chickens.
So I guess we're on topic.
Yeah, we are. We're pretty much on topic. Whatever the heck we want to talk about is our topic, pretty much, because our special episode is going to be a very special episode about raising a little hell. And quite anybody who's ever been around any of us knows that this is pretty much raising a little hell.
And by a little hell, we mean like a little. We're raising little hellions,
Littles.
little
Aye.
gremlins.
Mhm.
I just thought I was the demon, so I'm sorry.
There are days.
Oh, there are. Of me
Right.
or you or yours or what?
All of the above.
Okay, yeah,
So
I will take that.
I'm gonna bring it back all the way around to because it started with us
With a goat.
with the goat. It
With the
started
goat.
with us. What were y'all like when you were younger? When did you get into the I'm the weird kid gothy phase and then never leave it because it's not a dang phase?
Magda, let's start with you.
I was prissy. I was a ballerina and a dancer and very quiet, and I wore a lot of pink. Shockingly enough, I think puberty hit me like a ton of bricks, and suddenly I couldn't be a ballerina anymore because I had, well, boobs, and they didn't work out very well. And actually, I had to quit ballet because I passed out coming off stage because my parents didn't know that I'd been ace bandaging my chest to flatten it.
Oh,
So it
Oh,
wasn't quite so obvious, and I tightened it a little too much and ended up passing out. And when they found out, they decided maybe ballet wasn't the thing for me. And that was about the time that I took most of my clothing and dyed it black, much to my mum's annoyance because she loved me in pink. But I'd always liked the darker, gothic, lovely, spooky sort of things. I mean, I grew up around castles, so in the Highlands, and
That makes sense.
of course, it's all very lovely and fey and the sort of thing. I always loved it. It's just I didn't show it outwardly until I got about to puberty. So
So
yeah,
was that like a big giant bottle of Brit dye and you just threw everything in the washing machine at once and hope for the best, or?
it didn't turn out terribly well. Most of it was a big mess. That lovely, horrible grayish brown that things turn when you didn't quite dye them correctly. A
That
huge
Mine were like
purpley
a
portion.
gray
purple.
brown.
Mm,
Mine were like a
yeah,
purpley gray.
a huge portion of my clothing was that for a while until I figured out how to go back and actually dye it all, and then started sewing. And so I would fix things and thrift things and make them the way I wanted them to be. And aye.
So I think
Nice.
it's pretty common knowledge when and may I stop and just ask a couple of questions, and if you don't want to answer, please feel free. I think that we have kind of established that in terms of age, we're kind of all over the spectrum.
Aye,
With Lauren, you are the youngest. May I ask
little
how old you
baby.
are?
36.
And Magda?
I will be 49.
Okay. And you and I are closer in age, and I'm
Mhm,
53.
mhm.
So it kind of, it kind of will give you a little bit of perspective. Anybody who is actually listening to our show, the difficulties that sometimes we ran into. So when we start talking about fabricating and creating things and just dumping a bunch of stuff in Rit
Mhm.
dye, it was just strictly because those items weren't available.
Aye.
Uh, Magda, something I'm curious about. You mentioned specifically that you grew up and were around castles.
Mhm.
How do you feel like that changed what your appearance and how you view goth as a whole?
Well, I think partly when you grow up around things that are, crumbling down and lovely and sort of moss covered, and there's not a lot of sunlight in Scotland. There's just not. So it sort of lends itself to being very romantic. I always considered myself a romantic goth. I love the sort of flowy, lacy
I
things
could
and
see that.
lots of
Hmm.
layers and anything that's going to float behind you as you go running down a castle hallway. That was the sort of thing that I liked. And there was a lot of just natural Gothic atmosphere there. So between Scotland and parts of Bavaria, so I was in Germany for a while as well. And they have that old world sort of feel to them that lends itself very well to the Gothic aesthetic.
Oh, definitely.
Also in the mid to late 80s, especially overseas, there was the sort of dark wave. Didn't really call
Mm.
it Gothic until a slight bit later, but there was the dark wave sort of feel to things, and there's a huge amount of Goth culture out there. I mean, there's been Goth gatherings for decades at this point, so it was easier to sort of slide in with my people. I wasn't as isolated as I know a lot of goths can be when they first start out. What
Oh,
about you? Did you find yourself quite isolated? Were you the odd man out, so to speak?
myself?
Hmm.
Um, I have pictures. I have a few pictures kind of at the top of the list of me when I was growing up. I was actually going to see if we could find some images of you that we can kind of throw in, but I
Mm.
led a very, very traditional, kind of boring childhood. I was, um, I was the person whose parents were not necessarily embracing of all things goth. So here's a picture of me and my lovely mother and my little grumpy self. I was always a grumpy child. Don't know where this came from, but I feel like this is actually kind of carried over. But I mean, you get an idea of the era when you're
Hmm.
looking at these type photos. And my mom and her big. It's not really a beehive. I don't even know what you would call that cut. It was like a big round football helmet. I don't. That's the best way to describe it. But I had a very traditional childhood. I remember very specifically being asked to go to family events. And I think one of the things that we were commenting on earlier is when we were talking about trying to locate photographs of me when I was younger, a camera wasn't actually part of,
Mm.
we had a camera, but we didn't use it very often. Not so much that you couldn't afford to have the camera because they were affordable back in the 60s and 70s. However, the film development process was not as inexpensive, and you had to wait for days, then remember to go get it. So most of the photographs that I had were either school photos, in which I was a hideous child. Please do not laugh. I think this is a bowl cut, maybe this was either a bowl cut or I think they referred to it as Dorothy Hamill, which was absolutely hilarious because I looked nothing like the character. Although I would pay good money to have that yellow sweatshirt because that was a Snoopy sweatshirt. Once again, school photos. Oh yes, and my mother, anything that was vaguely pink, she would put it the pinkier and the fluffier. I feel for you when you were talking about your mother. My brother got a little bit older and actually kind of started taking photos himself, and like one of the first photos he ever did was this image.
I love that.
My youngest child looks at this. Actually, both of my children look at this picture and they're like, "Mom, when were you a young Hispanic girl?" I don't remember this part of, because I was so that the coloring in the film back in those days were very yellowed and everything. But I'm just going to flip through, and as you can see, there's nothing about me.
Oh, that's lovely.
Was that one of the photos that you would go to the mall and get the
No, this was not a glamour shot.
Okay.
This was one of my senior photos.
Wow.
As you can see, the next couple are me getting more into that. I think what you had was more like glam goth at this point. Hair was ginormous, not as big as some. Mine was meant to be overall big, but it was still it wasn't until kind of this era in which I started really reaching in and going, this is what I want to look like. And then so that was kind of the beginning. And I remember going to places when I was younger, and my dad looking at me in the back seat, wearing like a ton of, not anything out of the ordinary, what I would be wearing now with winged eyeliner and stuff. And he'd be like, "Oh my God, your family's going to think you're crazy and a devil worshiper. And you're going to have to pull over to the side of the road and take all that off." And I'm like, okay. You know, I was the kid in the back who was constantly reading a book. I had no intentions of fighting for the attention of like my grandmother, my family, and stuff like that. So I was the oddball out, but not always for the same reason. I did just go ahead and delete a few of those images out if y'all want to pop some more in, because I know we're kind of running out of space.
I tried to send a couple of me when I was younger. I'm sure Joey's probably like, how am I supposed to bring up the photos while also loading up the photos at the same time? So,
I am actually. Oh, okay. Joey's got
Joey's got a few. That was
are those cat ears?
I wore cat ears to prom.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was junior year. I don't have any pictures of my senior year because my yeah. Oh my goodness, this is band camp. And I was in the talent show for band camp. As you can see, I've got my little arm chain glovelets and my skirt with my pants and my shirt, which had the cutout on the shoulders there that everyone hates now, but dang it, I love cold shoulder tops. I will not give them up. So I think those are the ones he was able to load from my my younger days. I do have some around where I'm dressed up. Then there's Freddy Krueger.
Nice.
I understand you made that too.
I hand crocheted that dress. Yes,
fantastic.
It was fun. This is my first, like, quotation marks here, official photo shoot. I was 18.
Oh boy. So I have a question. When you, I think we pretty much already have established when my parents turned one look at me being the lovely goth person that I was becoming, I don't think my mother was very frightened of it. I don't think my mother cared about it one way or another. She was just like, she's pretty. She'll get boys. We're fine. You know, because that was the mentality of the era that I grew up in. And I really just didn't want to tell her I get the boys and the girls and whoever else. But there is a lot of like generally your mom did not worry about you, but sometimes you would find like another person in your family, whether it is your father, could have been your mom, a lot of time were rejecting your style because they thought it was too over the top, too much. Did you ever encounter that?
I was lucky enough to have siblings who were so much worse than me that I was the good kid.
Fair.
My weird goth ass was the normal one. And they're like, are you going out? Are you screwing people? Are you doing drugs? No? Dress as weird as you want. I don't care.
I come from a family of weirdos, so my mum was just mad that I got rid of all the pink because she loved me in pink. She still loves me in pink, but otherwise, no, she didn't mind. My mum's a bit gothy herself. She was always very stylish, regardless of the era. My mum was just very stylish, and she didn't mind. She just hated that I got rid of all the pink, and there we are. That's my mum and I. A little pale-haired child. That's my mum with her lovely stylish shag haircut, and some of her artwork in the background in our cottage in Scotland.
I love that art.
But and my dad was always very relaxed about the whole thing because I was a good kid. I got good grades. I had nice friends, and I did weird things, but I didn't get into trouble. So and I had older siblings that were far worse than I was. So they didn't mind. They just sort of relaxed into it. And my dad started buying me more black things. Whereas my mum started buying me darker colors in the hope that I'd wear them. So dark green and dark purples and dark blues. So I started dressing more like a Bruce. So that worked. And she didn't mind quite so much.
Nice.
Well, okay, so I think that the culmination of our youth and our childhood and all of the things that we built for ourselves basically stepped from that to that. And finding that, I know he looks like he's 12, doesn't he? It's like neither one of us look anything like this anymore. And yes, he actually had the cabana boy liked to dress just as much as I did. As you can see, he's got on those snakeskin boots. Oh my god,
they're fantastic.
Boots are amazing.
Oh no, you're missing there was one item in his wardrobe that I constantly tried to get my hands on and still, and it's probably somewhere still in this house hidden from me. But he had this full length black denim trench coat that was like trimmed in black leather, and it was the coolest thing I have ever seen in my life. And so I mean, when you're looking at so basically you had this weird girl who met the weird boy, and then the next thing you know, the weird boy and the weird girl and the weird boy are dating. And it was just kind of a match made in heaven because it was like all of the things that I was so used to being ridiculed about, my love of horror, my love of anything dark and creepy. I'm like, our first Halloween together, it was like, somebody gets it. Absolutely. And I think our first Halloween together, we actually dressed up as Morticia and Gomez, which was pretty much solidified kind of our standing relationship from that point on. And that was right. We met in college and have been together ever since. But it's just kind of one of those things where I feel like at some point our creepy little gothy girl selves, or whether you're qualify as goth or you qualify as goth adjacent or glam goth or whatever your classification is, there is that moment in which you meet someone that not only compliments you in your style, but somebody that also builds you up and makes you who you are. Who wants to talk about that?
I do. Joey, pull up the photo of us that I sent in. Yay! So this was actually very recently. We went out for a goth night, and I was like, I'm dressing up with this, and he was like, cool, me too. And we went out and we like matched each other. It was very fun. I love you, baby, but I'm on the air. Please stop trying to get on the show. Y'all go. I'm sorry.
She knows it's about family. She really does.
Hey. I met a rather normal sort of boy, but
You
he
call that
liked,
normal?
well, he's not a goth, but he does love the dark things and the creepy things, and he's always been extremely supportive of me and affectionate and passionate and loves everything about me and encourages me, and he's fantastic. He's as big a nerd as I am. He loves all the same things that I do. Loves horror and goth and sci-fi and comics, and he's just as big of a dork as I am, so it works out well.
Oh, that's amazing.
And he also has lovely curly red hair. So
Yes, he does. And something that I actually would love for you to share is you and your family actually have a long-standing tradition in which you grow your hair and then do what?
we do, and then we donate it to make wigs, usually for little ones that have cancer. And so every 2 or 3 years, we'll grow our hair down as long as we can get it and then chop it off and donate it. Um, my son does this, my daughter, and my husband. I haven't done it in a while because as I've gotten older, my hair's gotten a bit thinner. And when you add things to it and make it a bit less natural colored, it's not donatable. But I've a red-headed daughter and a blonde son and a red-headed husband who all do that every year or every 2 to 3 years, depending upon how long their hair grows. My husband's hair grows ridiculously fast. There's my wee one as my puppet.
Oh, she's so
That
cute.
that was her 11th birthday, I believe. 11th, might have been 10th. Her hair had gotten just past her hips, and right after that, she chopped it all off. It became just barely at chin length after that. And yes, she did donate all of that hair. That's
That's awesome.
my wee gothling, my baby bat. She's
I have
as
a sorry.
no, she's as much she's gothy, but at the same time, she's what they would call pastel goth. She loves all the sort of cute and creepy sort of things. Oh,
I have a question. What in your findingness of your gothic self, what flavors of goth did you like try, or what are ones that you will occasionally like, oh yeah, I'll go put on my steampunk outfit for a little bit?
I
What are
definitely steampunk, but at the time, I was very big into the rave culture for a while. So I had sort of the raver goth thing going on, sort of the cyberpunk kind of thing going on for a while. I used to, my favorite outfit, thank God there's no photos, was the sort of
At
little
least we think.
oh Lord, little sort of black and purple ballerina tutu sort of dress that I'd wear with huge black feathered wings. And I got to the point where I went to so many raves that they just called me the Goth Fairy everywhere I went with the
I
big
love
stomping
that.
boots. You know, oh, they're, oh, all right. So
Bring it back up.
this is my wedding. White velvet dress, and all the bits of dots on it are actually gemstones that were hand sewn to the edges. And heather in my hair, and my husband and his family's tartan kilt. So
That's amazing. I believe I've
and
seen you in
there's
a bit of
us, the two of us, the having a
Aw.
kiss. So
I believe I've seen you in a little bit of I don't want to say fetish, but a lot of leather.
fetish. Yeah,
I've seen-
well, see,
I've seen photo evidence of this.
I think I have photo evidence. Let me look.
I for a short period of my life, when I was in my early 20s, I actually did some modeling, and I love corsets. I have quite a lot of corsets, and wearing corsets and making corsets sort of naturally led me into a bit more of the fetish side of things. So lots of leather and straps and all sorts of bits, and lots and lots of corsets. So I
Love
did
that.
just a short little period of about 3 years of my life where if you search hard enough, you might find some very interesting pictures of me somewhere.
I bounced around to what I'm feeling. Like, honestly, there is not one specific, I am this kind of goth. I lean a lot to rainbow goth. A lot of people know it as like Lisa Frank goth, where I love bright neon rainbow colors and pairing it with very dark things. That's my usual go-to, but sometimes I'm traditional and I want to wear a black flowy dress with my boobs out. Sometimes I do steampunk. Sometimes I'm more costume. I do a lot of gothic cosplays, so it's really just dependent upon my mood. Sometimes I will not even feel like going goth at all, and I will put on sweatpants and sit down. And I don't like with t-shirts, so I do tank tops. So still with the boobs, yes, but and I just want to sit down and geek out on video games all day long. But yeah, I lean goth, I would say 90% of the time in some way, form, or fashion.
I think a lot of that also depends on what your employment is. I would love to be a lot more goth than I am in my business attire. I do the best that I can, but it becomes very difficult. So I have a tendency to be goth on the inside, sometimes even when goth on the outside isn't permitted. And then we do a lot of things that you were saying. We do a lot of events where we are costumed, and not all of our costumes are very gothic in nature. You would think, unlike this one, this was about as gothic in nature as you can get, other than you and I are in white. But I mean, come on now. There's a lot of things that we go to where we will dress and we don't really fit the criteria for goth, but we kind of fit into that world. Like recently we've gone out as Velma and Daphne.
But we still did a weird kind of gothic
there's a lovely twist to it.
Yeah, like we just did Ronald McDonald and Wendy from Wendy's, and we went out as like pinup goth versions of them.
And we're trying to figure out how we can splatter them with blood and make it even more so, because that seems like it would be appropriate.
Yes.
And I know I also have a tendency towards if it's not obvious, the sort of romantic goth. I love the Victoriana. I often have quite a lot of very high-necked, not today, but lacy sort of high-necked things, and looking like someone's Victorian nanny, on a bad day.
I love the sexy Victorian nanny.
I love the flowiness of it, and I love the tight waist. I love the look of an hourglass figure. So whether that's sort of the rockabilly look, I love that as well. I don't wear that as much, but I love the look of it, which is one I adore admiring our lovely DL in that sort of outfit.
Oh,
so it's so beautifully, you really do. It just suits you amazingly.
Well, thank you. So now I want to kind of talk about, we've talked a little bit now about our life growing up goth and things that we had to, I don't necessarily want to say overcome. Some families, it was more embracing. Some of it, some of it, we wanted to be goth. We just didn't have all of the access that kids have now. And so let's talk a little bit about what it's like raising a little hellion. And the truth is, you raise your children pretty much in the same version, in the same way. You don't really alter that much of your personality, although you do have to match theirs. And sometimes they just don't really. It's like some end up in one extreme, some end up in the other. If you want, I will go ahead and start, because I think I have the oldest child out of the group of us. So this is my daughter, Scarlett. Scarlett grew up in the day and age of Twilight, was heavily influenced by it. Very emo. You can see her there with her stingy brim, tartan plaid, fedora, strapless dress, the whole 9 yards. This little outfit that looks a little more like something. I know, isn't that adorable? It looks like something like Lauren had on earlier.
I love the stripes.
Oh, I do too. But my oldest child was very much what I would consider bordering on emo. She had all of the love of the, the dark and the creepy. And she loved to go to all these. If you told her, hey, we're going to go somewhere that's going to be really creepy and fun, and you're going to go get to explore an abandoned insert place here, she was all over that. She was not, however, a huge horror fan. But one of the things that I will share that she was absolutely obsessed with was the 1920s. Anything that was vaguely in the vein of The Great Gatsby, during the era of spiritualism, she loved it. So there was a little bit of, you saw a little bit of those creepy influences kind of come out in her, but you didn't necessarily see them until a little bit later in life and who she became. She did help me out sometimes with when we would do like the Haunted Web of Horrors, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to electrocute you. Can you please go play dead for me? There's something to be said for that too. So
I love that.
Yeah.
That's magnificent.
And then I think we're going to basically, you know what, let's wait a minute. Let's talk about, Magda, let's talk about your kids, because I think that I think that Lauren's daughter, Lily, and Aria are cut from the same cloth. I think that they basically are the same person a few years apart.
With my two, I have a girl and a boy. The boy is so not to the dark side. He's very much sort of he's a gamer boy. That is his world. He's a gamer. Mega Man, Sonic. He loves all of the older, like the 16 and 32-bit sort of characters. That's his thing. He's very bouncy. He's very, but at the same time, quite shy. He's so not goth. He just sort of pats me on the head and says, "That's nice, Mum," and sort of he's used to it, so it doesn't freak him out, but it's not his thing. Whereas his sister, my wee poppet, she is definitely, as I said, sort of she's as cute as she is creepy. Her favorite thing when she was there's my wee girl. The most
love the
amazing hair. She loves D&D. She's just started it. She has her own Hellfire Club t-shirt. She loves it. She loves creepy things. She loves black. She loves lace. She loves very feminine things. But at the same time, she will wear the brightest, most neon colors of all time. I mean, eye-wateringly so. It's actually kind of adorable because she's quite enamored with the pair of you for different reasons. DL because of her the beautiful retro sort of pin-up girl style that she loves seeing you in, and your magnificent colors and your Lauren, your makeup alone makes my daughter just get the vapors. She thinks you're both two of the most amazing women to walk the face of the planet, because she sees so much of herself in both of you. She sees things that she wants to aspire to. She sees inspiration for her own fashion, and the fact that you are. I've tried very hard to raise my daughter to be the sort of woman who has her own agency, who knows who she is and is not shy of it. It doesn't matter what she looks like. It doesn't matter what her weight is. It doesn't matter if she fits in what people think is the norm. She doesn't care, because it's what she likes. It's what she's comfortable in. And if she feels comfortable, then she feels amazing. Probably the proudest moment of my life is raising a daughter who owns herself.
Absolutely.
The fact that she shares a lot of my tastes makes me happy, but I'm more happy that she owns herself.
Well, and in this day and age, it is really hard to instill a sense of individuality into young women, because as much as we hate to say it, as free as our youth are, they're also a lot of, follow this or don't fit in, follow this or cancel culture, follow this, or, there's a whole lot of things that young people have to navigate that we didn't necessarily have to. We didn't live our lives on display. We just did what we wanted. And if it fit in, it fit in. Oh, well, if it didn't, oh, well, we didn't really care. We just went ahead and did it. Now I have
absolutely.
so, and I'm going to, this is actually for both Magda and Lauren. You have children who are extremely goth oriented. They are definitely baby bats, but you also have the other extreme that are not.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, okay, first of all, how do you balance that when it comes to having a child who is extremely goth oriented? Because I know me, when you have your goth oriented kid, it's like that's the one you want to dress up. That's the one you want. It's like you have my taste. She shuns it, but and I can give all of these amazing things to my older daughter as well because she is a bit of a boho witch. I don't know how else to describe her. She's an earthbound spirit. She is a earth spirit. She is a bit of a witchy girl. But my baby bat, I see all of these things and I'm just like, let me show you the ways of the world. Let me show you what I have kept and climbed in. Okay, anyway, I don't know where the hell I was going. Go ahead.
Personally, I think the thing that helped me more than anything is the fact that I had such magnificently supportive parents. My parents were so much not like me, but they still adored me and they were more interested in what made me passionate. They were interested in what brought me joy and they loved that. They always encouraged me, encouraged my siblings, encouraged all of us to follow our passions. And even if they did not understand those passions, luckily, one of the things that will always make me laugh for the rest of my life was my father. Sometime in my early 20s, I sat down with him and I watched the movie Tank Girl, right?
Oh my God, I
So
love that movie.
we watched Tank Girl with my dad. We get to the end of the movie and my father turns to me and says, "Oh, suddenly I understand so much more about your early teenage years."
Surprise!
You know what? That is a great movie. If you have a alt or if you have an alt child, goth child, or just anything vaguely with it, give mom and dad a copy of Tank Girl and say this is going to be your Bible. Or know this, love this, because this is who your child is. I know so many people who are alternative in their styles, and I use alternative loosely because you know, whether you're emo, whether you're goth, whatever, even if you're one of those people like me that I don't necessarily care for a title, I just kind of fit into wherever I fit into. But I love the idea that we have a jumping off point, and most people know what it is. They know it's either The Crow or they know it's Tank Girl. It's like depending on what your mood is, one of the two. So Lauren, you have some older daughters as well, and
I do.
And I know that I've met your daughters, and I know that they play well with the creepies and the crawlies and all of the things that we love, like there. But that
They
isn't
play
what
along very well.
Beautiful
they're
photo.
gorgeous. Oh yeah, but that's not always what they're like, is it?
No. They're very open to playing dress up, and I would say they're very much horse girls. You know, the girls that are like they
Yep.
just love horses and they want to be out on a farm, and that is what mostly they are. Now, my older girl is into quite a bit of horror, so I've gotten to that. We sat down and we watched The Haunting of Hill House, the entire show together, and then we went through the second one together. So she gets really excited on having like that's kind of our thing. We sit down, we watch horror movies together. Now I do also watch horror movies with my youngest, but they're very different horror movies than my older one. My older one, she's almost 18. And so that's kind of like the bonding thing that I get to do with her there. She will go and do dress up and be silly. Like she's the oldest, and yet also she's the one that's like, yeah, let's go play Barbies with the 6-year-old. Let's do that thing. Now my middle girl, she, I would say, has a very 90s feel with her style. She's very it feels almost like grunge punk-ish, but they call it all different names now.
She would love my oldest daughter. Her and my oldest daughter would probably be two little peas in a pod in terms of styling.
Yeah. The stripes, the shirts that are stripes and like down to here, and she wants all of that stuff. I look at the clothes that she asks me for, and I was like, I wore that in high school. I wore that in high school. I wore that in middle school. So her fashion sense is, it used to be very flowy, boho, Western, like, and then her fashion sense started to change. I remember she sent me like, this is kind of what I want for my birthday. And it was a little thing of screenshots that she had saved. And it was moving from a little house on the prairie to Gothic emo-y things. And I was like, huh? I didn't know what to do.
Wait until she shifts back and all of a sudden she becomes a boho witch. You're like, I don't know.
I think that's where she's leading eventually. I think that's going to be the eventual end off. I don't know how that...
That's my oldest daughter. And I'm just going to tell you now, this is where your middle child is going. She is going to be sitting on a crown or throne of bones wearing a skull mask with her king commanding the world, the underworld. Just so you know, it's coming.
Right. Absolutely fair. Yes. And then my youngest is, if you could take someone entirely and put them in half and say half of them is a Disney princess ripped straight out of a movie with all of the pink and the frills and the ruffles and sparkles, and the other half was a Gothic queen of like the underworld, that would be my youngest. Rosie is the epitome of just completely split down the middle, which I didn't send any pictures of her like all princessed up because we're talking about our kids and how Gothic they are. But I did send quite a few of her dressed in the fashion that she would like to dress. If we could get a couple of them up, I'm sure Joey's probably over here scrambling trying to get more photos. That was her most recent cosplay. She just
won. That's kind of princessy.
It is a little princessy.
Oh my goodness.
We saw the trailer for Abigail that was coming out, and she was like, Mom, I have got to see this movie. And I was like, okay. So we went opening night. We saw it first night out in the drive-thru so we could bring our own snacks, and she loved it. And literally she was just like, Mom, I need this. I was looking for costume pieces sitting at the theater in the drive-in movies in our car, trying to like, what shoes are those? They're sparkly silver with stars. Okay. Try to piece this thing together because she was just so excited. She loves to cosplay horror. She loved Annabelle, the movies. It's one of her favorite things. We were just recently watching a video of some interviews that were done from the people from Abigail. And one of they asked the question like, oh, what was the scariest movie to you when you were a child? Now they're asking grown actors this. And one of them was like, oh my gosh, Chucky scared me so much when I was a kid. And my youngest sat there and she was like, Chucky? Chucky? And
you are being judged by a 6-year-old, my friend.
So judgy. She went and got her little Chucky pen that she has in her Chucky keychain and put it up in my face. And she was like, Chucky?
I would love so much for my Poppet and your Rosie to meet each other because they would have so much fun. First off, my daughter would want to play dolly dress up with your girl. So there's that. And they have all the same tastes. My daughter is Merida. On the one side, she's Merida. On the other side, her favorite thing in the entire world is looking at pictures of you dressed as Tiffany. So,
oh my gosh.
That's her thing. She loves the goth. She loves the creepy. We watch horror films together, especially she's gotten older. It's got more fun. But that's my girl, and she loves it. But at the same time, she'll wear the princessy things. And as I said, I've dressed her actually as Merida when she was about 3 years old. There's my girl. She's dressed as the
operetta
from the Monster High. She was so excited to see that there was a Monster High that had red hair. And so we got her an operetta outfit. You have no idea how long it took to make Victory Rolls on a fidgety 5-year-old.
Oh no, I do. I can guess. I can guess.
Well, there you are. No, I suppose you would. Actually, I suppose you would. But that's my girl. She was so precious. She loves the sort of thing. She loves cosplay. All of her newest cosplay she's been doing on her own without help from mummy. Oh, all right. So this is my wee one at 3 months old. 3 months old wearing school Vans.
I love it.
School Vans and a Nightmare Before Christmas bib. That was my girl with her crazy red hair.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, I love her so much. Every time I see a picture of her online, I'm just like, that is one of the coolest dang kids. Which is
absolutely.
I hope people understand what it means when I say that. Or when I say stuff like that, because oh my god, she's hugging the little evil dead dolls.
This is not just an evil doll. This is the conjoined twins dolls named Hazel and Hattie. They were her absolute favorite of Mummy's creepy dolls because I have a collection of living dead dolls, and she would always beg to have them taken out so she could play with them all. They come in little coffins. And if I wasn't looking, she'd come into my room and get them off the coffin-shaped shelf that I have them on, pull them out of their boxes and tuck them into my bed. So I'd come in to see the babies having a nap.
Can I just tell you that if my daughter ever saw your daughter dressed as this, my youngest daughter is a avid Monster High collector. She actually not only collects the dolls, but she refurbishes the dolls, gets them back. I promise you not to be weird about this, but she would be in some little plastic container saying, "Please do not touch. This is in a fully original doll." She would love it. But there's also something that you and I have kind of commented on before, Lauren, because I think that I don't think that you can talk about Rosie without talking about Aria. Because I think Aria and Rosie are kind of cut from the same. I mean, when I tell you these two children were cut from the same cloth, I don't know how else to describe it. I know, I see. It's like you have Little Wednesday, Big Wednesday. I'm just trying to think if I know there's more that we've done.
I don't know if she's ever done Lydia. We have Lydia, Harley Quinn. She's
I know. I know there's a witch one down here somewhere.
Here you go.
There you go.
Oh, see, that looks so much like my puppet with her just a little purple and black, which costume. Our babies are all soul sisters.
Right?
They really are.
Need to get the three of them together and do like a little Wiccan witch photo shoot where they're just all adorableness.
We did that, but we just didn't have Magda's with us.
Well, we need Magda.
I know. By the way, I was looking at this picture and I'm like, I don't know if this is Lily. I don't know if this is Aria. Is that awful?
Serious. I love the expression on the face.
Oh, this child never breaks face. This child is as grumpy as they come.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very much cut from the same cloth. That's mine right there. I'm trying to pull it off there. There we go. Hey.
So yeah, with Aria, some of the first things that she got involved with, I'm going to drop these like 3 in a row. So there used to be a huge zombie walk located in the Memphis area. And as you can tell, she is probably about 4 to 5 years old. This was her idea. She wanted to be covered in blood. She wanted to have it. This is actually a sock puppet that looks like a dead cat. I'm sorry. I am so sorry if people look at it. It's like she's carrying a dead cat. But no, this was her idea. And when she got as much love as she did, she decided the next year.
Oh,
she wanted to do that. That dress was buried in our backyard. I am not kidding. You want to talk about true, straight up weathering? This child buried that dress so it would look like somebody dug her up, and then her half-deflated balloon. And so I mean,
that's brilliant.
I love the balloon. I also was a balloon person at the zombie walk. One year the zombie walk happened to be directly on my birthday, so I put on like a sparkly blue dress, bloodied myself up, and got some balloons and walked around with the balloons at zombie walk. So yay.
I am looking. Bear with me. Bear with me, Joey. I've got the pictures. I'm scrolling. So some other images. So here is Rosie yet
Oh,
again.
that is. I have to say that when I first saw this picture, I immediately went and got my poppet to see it, and I thought she was going to faint. She thought it was the most magnificent thing, and the button for the shield is
She
so
made that.
perfect.
Like, we
And I
helped her,
love that.
but the shield, the needle sword, she spray painted that. The chains that she's
Oh,
wearing, I had
so
her sit
perfect.
there and like put the chain links back together because I wanted her to be involved in the actual cosplay.
So for those of you who are listening, this is Rosie dressed in a battle warrior style Tinkerbell, complete with battle growl plastered across her
So
face. She
fantastic.
looks like she is
Fierce.
ready. Yeah, it is so fierce, so fierce. But and she's never shied away from even the creepiest thing. You know, most children, if you walked up and you saw Jason Voorhees in a park, now I
Mhm.
understand he did a lot to make her very comfortable.
He was so good.
But even with that process, as soon as he put on the mask, most children would have been like, "No, I don't want anything to do with him." And she was like, "Let's have a picnic."
Mhm.
Tea party? We're having a tea party.
It's a tea party.
The puppet one year for Halloween, we were at an event where there were, like a trunk or treat, I think they're called, and there
Uh-huh.
were some delightful cosplayers there who had this entire run of Star Wars people, and my daughter was dressed as Merida, but she had a sort of a girly version of Darth Vader at some point, but she wasn't wearing it that time. So she comes running up to this beautiful array of lovely cosplayers, and she says, loud as she can I have a hug? And it's so precious because both Leia and Rey, there's my puppet, looking
She's
mean as
so
always.
cute.
She ran forward, asked for a hug. Leia and Rey stepped forward, and she walked past them to hug Vader.
I want Vader, dang it. I love that.
He was startled but delighted. He sort of patted her like, all right then, okay.
You gotta love when the little ones go straight through. I'm going to just kind of flip
Mhm.
through because we've got a lot of photos of little kids.
So
I'm
many,
trying to kind of knock out
so
some that
many
we've already
lovely
looked
ones.
at.
I feel so bad for the people who are like
No,
listening to this on
No
audio.
idea. We have beautiful little Wednesday Adams coming down the stairs looking so severe. Love it.
I love the look on her face. She doesn't know whether she's going to kill you or laugh. It's amazing.
Which is perfect. It's just perfect.
Absolutely.
This was
Oh,
Texas Frightmare, one of her first conventions ever. And we knew there was going to be a lot of people in creepy stuff. So I don't think I have photos of the first day, but for the first day, we dressed as Scooby-Doo. She was Scooby-Doo. I was Velma and my husband was Shaggy. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
And she wandered around with her little Scooby-Doo backpack and she had Scooby snacks. And we told her, anyone who's in a cool costume, go give them a Scooby snack. And so she got very excited when she would see the creepy people and she would be like, oh, they have a good costume. I get to go give them a Scooby snack.
Oh.
And that was kind of her introduction to the creepier cosplays. We gave her something fun to do with it. And she's just been obsessed ever since.
That's amazing. As a matter of fact, we actually will be at Texas Frightmare next weekend. So I'm so excited about that because that is such a wonderful, wonderful event. Let me see. I haven't seen her as Harley.
She wanted Harley for
Yes.
Halloween last year. We had just recently watched the movies and she loved the movies. Well, we watched,
Imagine.
I think it was like Barbie. And then she wanted to watch more with that actress. And I was like, well, oh goodness, this,
Nice.
Oh, I thought it was Harley at first, but I'm like, oh no, that's Queen of Hearts.
That's the Queen of Hearts. That was my first ever actual cosplay. First time out of the park.
That's awesome.
I put that together 2 days before the convention because I decided 2 days before, I was like, you know what? I actually do want to cosplay this. Okay. And so, yeah, 2 days worth of work, put that together, and people are just like, you're pretty good at this. And I'm like, really? Because I think it looks like shit, but fine. If you think it's good, cool. But yeah, that was my first ever cosplay as an adult. I did younger things where they were all Halloween themed.
So this is Aria's one of her very first not cosplays, but Halloween costumes that she was obsessed with. And this was,
is it Abby?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
She was a huge fan of NCIS and had to be the closest thing to giant stompy boots. I know everybody's just like, oh my God. The closest thing we could get to giant stompy boots for her were these little black Nikes. These things were so adorable. But yeah, I love this outfit on her so much. I don't even know if she still likes them. But as I mentioned, she is a huge fan of Monster High. So this was also
somewhere I have pictures of Poppet dressed as Frankie Stein as well. She was annoyed because her hair didn't. Her hair is flaming red. She's a natural redhead, and didn't work out very well for Frankie. She was annoyed. Well, we tried the spray on sort of black and spray on white, and it just didn't work very well. She was sad.
I have to admit, though, I do appreciate the fact that you have all of these characters that came out in an age bracket in which most of our girls would probably have loved them and grown up with them. You know, Aria had them when she was younger, but they're still actively being released. They do have like collector's version. I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the Elvira collector's version and the Bride of Frankenstein, the Frankenstein. Yeah, but it's, you know, those are dolls that helped kind of solidify a love of horror. So if you're a creepy person and you love horror and you're trying to find something to get your children into, you know, that horror realm without scaring them half to death, Monster High is a great way to go. I absolutely love it. One of the other things that go ahead.
No, I was changing the subject. You go.
No, you go.
Okay, well, I'm going to pull up a photo, tell a quick story, and then I have a question, a follow-up question for y'all.
Okay.
All right, so we were out eating at a restaurant. She wanted to wear her Wednesday dress. Okay. So she picked up the knife and she went, "Mommy, a knife." And I was like, let me get a photo of that because you as Wednesday holding this little butter knife is adorable. Now, as this happened, I just took the photo. She's holding the knife. She goes back to looking at the menu or eating her food. Some random lady walks up, grabs one of her braids and goes, "Oh, aren't you just so cute?" touching her and stuff. And she whipped up that knife so fast and was about to, I don't know, chop off this lady's hand at the wrist with a butter knife. So with that story in mind, has there ever been a moment parenting your little gothies where you're like, oh God, maybe I raised them too goth?
I don't know so much that I would say there's a moment in which I'm like, oh, my child is going to kill you. My youngest child is a little more violent, I think. I don't know. Both of my children are pretty, you kind of have to understand the dynamic. My oldest daughter is about 5'8", 5'9". My youngest child is 5 foot tall. So when it comes to the two of them interacting together, there's one that's going to stand head and shoulders, no pun intended, above the other, but she is also going to be that wall, that protection. But you really don't want to mess with the little pixie because she will rip you apart in a heartbeat. So I don't know so much that there is a particular incident that I can say, hey, that was, you know, mine did that. But these are them together. These are
lovely.
Yeah. These are my two now. And as you can see, they are two little peas in a pot. And this gives you a better understanding of height-wise and size-wise. They go everywhere together. This is the epitome of their personality. Here is tall, sophisticated Aria, or Scarlet, and Aria is a gremlin. I don't know how else to explain it, but yeah, this is the two of them together at Goth Night, aka the Satanistic, the Satan. What was it? The term?
Satan worshiping. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was a Satan worship dance party. I don't know.
Family friendly goth night. People had the like all up in arms that children are going to be listening to this. They're wearing black.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a particular image. I don't have a particular situation where I would say that I've had somebody come up and put their hands on either one of my girls, because quite honestly, I think that I have raised my girls to be intimidating enough. Scarlett from her height, but Aria just from her possum mentality. Don't look at me, don't touch me, don't come near me, or I will snarl at you. And that's pretty much her. My littles, I do have grandchildren. My 2 grands. I don't know if you can tell. The tall one, the older one, she is just as evil as they come. It's like, yeah, she is just as evil as they come. They're both. You can see it. I know you can. I know you can. But I mean, they are sweet. They are sweet girls, and I love them so much, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. But I will tell you this: if anybody were ever to walk up thinking that, oh, these two will be easy to kidnap. No. The little one is solid and feral and will act like some wild animal. And the oldest one she'll just be mean to you to the point that you want to cry. Absolutely want to cry. There you go. There you can see it.
They get along so well with my youngest. They'll all go run around and like, oh, what are we doing? We're princesses today? Okay. What are we doing? We're gonna dress as homicidal maniacs? Cool.
Nice.
As you can see, Lauren is very, very deeply integrated into my family. I think that we're all just we're just one big family. I don't know how else to describe that, but it really helps that we do have that dynamic. And I honestly wish that you were so much closer to us, because I feel like if you were right here with us, yours would be part of this dynamic. And I know a couple that would be crushing on the boy, although I'm not gonna lie, I think we might have a couple that might be crushing on the girl.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Yeah.
I've had wee ones, not so wee ones, going to prom these past few weeks, and that's
so handsome. He was so good looking.
I love the fact that he chose his prom was a masquerade, and so he chose a sort of Phantom of the Opera style mask. I thought that was fantastic.
Nice.
My boy, he's got a little bit of goth in him, just a touch.
We're past. We're 3 minutes past.
Oh dear.
Okay, so I'm going to pop up a few pictures here at the end, and I'm hoping Joey got everything. Oh, it looks like he got everything loaded. Okay. One quick one, because I don't think you can see. Oh, look at her.
She did that all on her own. I had nothing to do with it. She came out to take pictures, so of course I did.
I am claiming her as mine. She's officially part of my group now. That is straight up a DL outfit. If I have ever seen one, that is my child. She's mine. Okay.
And she would happily agree.
She would miss you very quickly, I promise. I'm going to flip through some pictures, and people just kind of share with me what's going on, because this is really going to be just kind of a little bit about where we are and how we have evolved, because I think that you can't talk about the influences and the things and our effects on children and doing the things that we have done to make them, obviously we've taken them to cons. We make sure that they're into horror movies. We give them literature to read right off the bat. But part of it is you cannot be scared to be yourself. You have to be able to maintain that element of your own personality. So let's start here.
Hi, I like Beetlejuice. That's an element of that personality right there. I have this love for things of black and white stripes, and the amount of my closet that are black and white striped items is a little concerning, because I will go out and wear this like regular clothes with green hair, and people are like, and you're not doing Beetlejuice? They're like, oh yeah.
I'm doing me.
Ash.
I'm me.
It's one Yeah, me. It's just one of my absolute favorite looks, and I will go out in public looking exactly like freaking Beetlejuice. This is a modeling photo that Toy Robot did for our Gothic. And this is a very, like, I dress like this a lot. I actually think I just wore this dress out at a goth night with that exact same belt. So, yeah.
Yeah, actually. And I was the one in color. What was that? Was weird.
You were wearing all neon green, and I was over here like the classic goth. And I'm looking at you like you're me. Are you cosplaying me? It was very fun.
I love this.
This was in my Annie Lennox phase. For best description, I had very short hair and I used to slick it back all the time with suits, tried to make myself look as asexual as humanly possible. So that was my Annie Lennox phase.
I don't know that you could make yourself look asexual because I just see sexy woman there. That's all I see. I'm sorry.
I'm asexual. But then again, I know that there's so
non-binary
much underneath that.
We know that. I think we know that part. So this is me on a good day. And this is kind of what I look like at any given point. If you run into me out in public, this is generally one of the versions you're going to get of me. And as you have mentioned, I'm very, very rockabilly. So that has a tendency to kind of overlap. It's not my only look though, which kind of throws people off. I'm looking for Lauren. Where the hell are you? Is that the only picture I got?
I don't know. I don't know how to like make I have all of the photos from when they were loaded before the show started and nothing has updated. So that's all I can see.
Well, I have Magda here.
All right, yeah, that's another one of my sort of 50s kind of style.
That's
I loved
gorgeous.
that dress. It's got laces down the front, laces down the back. It was one of my corseted dresses. I was quite fond of.
Absolutely beautiful. And you said that this was built off of a 1950s vibe?
I took a pattern that I liked and then just added laces to it in the princess scenes. So I made that, actually. That was one of my creations.
This has got to be one of my absolute favorite photos of you ever.
I was cosplaying, actually. There are characters called the Velvets from the Neil Gaiman story Neverwhere. And the Velvets literally were vampires that were walking about dressed head to toe in velvet. So I was cosplaying as one of the Neil Gaiman's Velvets from Neverwhere.
So I could be cosplaying every day and not really know about it. Do you know how much velvet I own in my wardrobe? It's a little frightening.
I had a friend at the con that I was at that sort of referring to that dress as the WoW dress.
Oh man, that's amazing. So if you don't see me in like rockabilly, you might see me in something that's a little more vampiric.
Love it.
I think that this. I think that the company who actually created this dress refers to it as a Southern Swamp Witch. I'm like, I will take that hands down, no questions asked. And of course, my pretty much every day, because and yes, I can go play on the jungle gyms and go play. I can go play and love to do stuff like that. But this is kind of what I look like day in and day out. If you catch me and I'm not at work and I'm not going somewhere for an event, this is kind of what I look like. Lauren.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry.
No.
I am participating in the show while also watching a 6-year-old try and heat up their own Campbell's soup by themselves. So it's a multitasking thing. These are just some photos of my Gothic style that was some of my favorites and things that I've worn. I'm very into burlesque goth.
Oh, so yeah.
Anything that makes me feel like I'm gonna go out and hoe the nights and do a can, then I want to wear it.
There's no problem with that whatsoever. And honestly, I think that we are pretty much at the top of the hour. I think that we have kind of exceeded a little bit. there is so much that we did not even. I'm looking at this list of pictures. And I'm like, how the hell? And we didn't even feel like we had enough pictures. Oh my God. But now you kind of get an idea of what it was like for each one of us as a young person growing up. Some of us who were, our families embraced Goth. Some of us that our families did not embrace Goth. And then some of us just were like, oh my God, why do you go be so weird? Go sit in a corner and read your book and shut up. That was me. No, my family was really cool. It was just when we got out with my extended family, a lot of times, like grandmothers, aunts, and uncles, but they didn't always understand my personality. They also understood that a lot of the things that we wore during the era may have matched the era, but not have been as gothy as what we would our attire would be today. But that didn't mean that it didn't stop us from reading and becoming our gothic selves. And, you know, and some of us even today, as much as we love goth, there's so many different variations of it. So if you have a young person that is leaning into emo, leaning into goth, or leaning into whatever, and you want to encourage them, we say yes. If they love horror, please get them books, get them movies. We do recommend for you to kind of screen that a little bit, because not every child and not every book or movie is designed for every person. So, you know, please be mindful of what you are giving to your children to pay attention to, read, and listen to. Same thing with music. My daughter is absolutely in love with Ice Nine Kills. I like Amigo the Devil. Not exactly the most kid-friendly set of music for, you know, but not to mention you got to get past banjo.
Friday is such a good song, though.
What?
Ice Nine Kills, Thank God It's Friday. Like every Friday, rocking out of work. Thank God it's Friday.
Oh, no. I love Ice Nine Kills. As a matter of fact, I got to show y'all this. Just because I got to embarrass the living hell out of it. I know it's on here.
You're going to find it.
Can we just take a second before we jump off here and let's talk really quick about, we're in line to meet the singer Spencer for Ice Nine Kills, and all of the girls in line to meet him were dressed to the nines. I mean, short skirts, tight pants, tank tops, everything fitted, boobs out to here. My daughter shows up as Mothman. And he proceeds to flip her little earpieces back and forth. And oh wait, that's a totally different picture. But that's a story for another day. But he proceeds to flip her little ear things back and forth, and he is just I mean, he interacts with her. It is almost like I have seen a billion other girls that are overly dressed trying to impress, and then here is Mothman, and he's like, I just want to hug her and like squeeze her. And I think she made a bigger impression on this guy dressed as Mothman than anybody else in that line, because he was just like, oh, let me play with your ears. And she was like, yes. Okay. Anyway, we're at the top of the hour. Any last minute words? I think that's a no.
That's 111 and start is the amount of time she's going to microwave her soup by herself. That's where I'm at. I am going to jump off, y'all.
Like, that's a minute 11:07, so that might be lava.
Perfect for Mother's Day. For Mother's Day.
And everybody, please have a happy Mother's Day if you have not already. And please watch your children while they're microwaving soup. Otherwise, it will be lava. And with that said, pleasant screams. Everybody run. It's going to be that day.